Zherka, what got you into flat earth? Christ is king.
Eric Dubé. Because Eddie Bravo kept making it look kind of crazy, but I saw how angry Joe Rogan was getting, and in Jungian psychology, if someone gets triggered quickly and says, no, that's not true, it's because they believe it's true, right? So I was like, why is everyone so angry at the flat earth? Why are they so angry? And people are like, because it's dumb. But we see dumb things all the time. We don't respond like that. So that's the first time I was like, oh shit, there has to be something there. I looked into Eric Dubé, and I'm not going to lie, dude, there's more proof of the earth being flat than anything else in reality, bro. Like, I've compared it. It's shocking that people think these guys spoke to astronauts on a landline. I don't even like talking about it. It's a hard position to defend when just Googled average IQ and the average person thinks it's a ball. It's like a zombie army of retards arguing with you. And then you eventually just tap out. You go, fuck this shit, right?
Every time I talk about flat earth to my brother, he always go to study a NASA project paper with math. That all of this math wouldn't work if the planet was flat. What would you say?
That's stupid, because Einstein and every intellectual said the mathematics for every geocentric position also work on a globe. They're interchangeable. I could give you a whole documentary on that. That is the most debunked shit I've ever heard. If the Earth is not a sphere that spins on the axis of 66.6, another Freemason Galileo number, something that shatters your worldview is by definition a trauma. So flat Earth is traumatic to people. That's why they laugh uncontrollably, or they cry, or they freak out. But it drives anxiety into the human psyche, right? So if you watch, I'll say this, if you watch one documentary that's the most banned documentary, and Flat Earth is the most, even more than JQ, it is the most banned topic in algorithm history. Where if you search it up, you get a disk flying through space and all this nonsense, no firmament. It's all nonsense. It is the most Googled topic in Google history because Trump's team leaked Flat Earth leaks during the election cycle to, I'm not CIA, I just know this. They leaked this so people don't believe in establishment and Hillary Clinton, and they get scared. Like, whoa, what the fuck? It's not a ball. And then they, closed it up again. There's no topic more nuked, not even Jewish question, than Flat Earth. Billions, the number 1 billion views, they only show you Flat Earth disk flying through space. Shit we don't even believe in. Search up Flat Earth. Look, what's the top 20 results? It's all stuff that's fake. Flat Earth Society, all the controlled opposition. We don't believe in any of this stuff. For example, Flat Earth doesn't mean a disk in space. Literally, Earth would be the basement of the universe. Do you understand?
So do you believe in space?
As a dome, yeah. Like the stars, search up star trails. Polaris, the North Star, has not deviated an inch off the sky for thousands of years for a reason, because it doesn't move. It's like the middle nipple, right? And do you see what I'm saying? That the firmament actually moves, and the Earth is motionless. Like, that's why Michelson-Morley experiments, all experiments to prove the Earth is in motion, failed. That's why Einstein said the Earth is an observable, motionless plane. 6 experiments, Michelson-Morley, to prove the Earth is in motion, all failed. Curvature has never been recorded at any altitude. I know what a fisheye lens is, so I know when the Earth looks real and has that roundness, I know what a fisheye is. Like, I'm not an idiot. The thing that solidified it most was, remember when you first, I think 2017-18 is when it leaked. Remember when we first learned about flight trails? Like, remember when, as a flat earther, when you first saw how planes fly on maps? That shit was traumatizing. Genesis talks about the firmament and horizon. The horizon of the sky comes from the word horizontal, tectonic plates, not tectonic balls. The water is always level. It's never stuck to a ball in history because water always finds its level. And what's crazy to me is 6 experiments of Michelson-Morley to prove the Earth is in motion failed. Star trails have not, constellations haven't changed for thousands of years. They've never intersect.
Polaris hasn't deviated an inch off the sky for thousands of years. Nothing. But they're saying you're flying through space. The star trails move, but the Earth doesn't. Einstein said the Earth is an observable, motionless plane. And the one that freaked me out the most, every single airplane on Earth has an autopilot system for emergency landings. And it doesn't use a globe. It uses an ice wall map called the azimuthal equidistant map that Admiral Byrd, the first person to travel to Antarctica, he's on footage saying there's more land. A compass only points north because it's a flat Earth. South is 180 degrees away from north. You circumnavigate like Christopher Columbus, like how the sun moves, east to west. You can go around on, let's say, a plate. It's not a disk in space. Space is not real. Earth is the basement of the universe. Every scientific study is on the flat earther side. You'll never find this content on YouTube.
Like when you compare how planes fly on a globe versus on a flat map, on a flat map, the plane's just doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Just go to the destination, straight line. Just like how... But on the globe, it says that the plane goes all the way up, then all the way down, and then this is how it looks. Doot, 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 doot. And it's like a way longer route to get to a shorter destination, but on a flat map, it's like... Doop. I was like, what the fuck? It's always like Einstein said, the Earth is an observable, motionless plane. That's why it's called horizon, because it's horizontal. That's why they're called tectonic plates and not tectonic balls. That's why you have sea level, because the sea is level. The only time you've ever seen a curved Earth is from a fisheye lens camera. That's why there's videos on YouTube of skateboarders literally skating at a park and the Earth is a ball. That's why you can use a fucking telescope to see a boat from far away that comes up back into the horizon. But they say it's under the fucking curve of the Earth. The curve of the Earth is not real, bro. The Bible is real. How about a helium balloon? If I bought you a little Pikachu balloon on our date, is helium a magical element that's the only thing that can beat gravity? You and I are stuck to the ground by gravity, a math model, not even science. We're stuck. Skyscrapers are stuck to the ground, but helium balloon is just floating away. It's floating because it's more buoyant, it's less dense than the medium that surrounds it, air. Before gravity, why things rise and fall is because this pack of cigarettes is denser than the medium surrounding it. If it was filled with helium, it would float. It would be more buoyant. Density and buoyancy explains why things rise and fall. You don't need gravity to explain that, especially because it doesn't explain anything. It's literally proven by science. You've never, ever tested the Earth's motion. Michelson-Morley had 6 experiments. That's why Einstein said, you can't, there's no motion. Like, we perceive. That's why, like, think about what you believe. You believe if us dudes spend time on a helicopter and we wait 10 hours, that China's going to roll under us and we just land. The air doesn't curve with the Earth because the Coriolis effect, right? So they literally say that, or else planes can't get anywhere. They say the atmosphere isn't rolling. We're not stuck to it. Just the Earth. If the Earth is rolling, you can literally stay in a helicopter 24 hours and land in the same spot because the Earth fucking rotated. But no, you land in the same spot because the Earth don't fucking move. That's why the helicopter has to go from point A to point B to get to China. The China doesn't just roll under your feet. Rainbow is a dome. Rainbow's not a sphere. Rainbow is reflecting off the glass dome, the firmament. That's why it's dome shaped. That's why you need a glass dome, water vapor, and a light source to recreate a rainbow in a garage with the scientific method. If you want to make a rainbow in the garage, you literally need a glass object like this to reflect off of it. You spray some water vapor in the air, one light source. The yin and yang is the sun and moon. That's why the sun and moon perfectly eclipse, because they're the same fucking size. The Earth is not 93 million miles away of CG space. It's literally, you can feel when the sun's above your head. If you live in Florida near the equator, it's even closer. That's why it gets so hot. If you're up north in Canada, you're away from the equator, and it makes, this is the sun. It just goes around the flat, and you're like, how can Christopher Columbus go around? You can go round on a plate like this. Plates are flat. It doesn't have to be a sphere. Their curvature of Earth at 8 inches per mile square has never been recorded. If you search up airplane flight manual, it says, land the fucking plane, the Earth is flat. Just land it like it's flat. Do not account for curvature. Do not account for anything. Just land the fucking plane. The whole flight manual to become a pilot says the Earth is literally flat. Land the plane. Don't try and do any extra math. Don't do anything.
Wouldn't people just fall off the end?
Well, what is the end, first of all? It would be Antarctica, the Arctic Circle. That's the shoreline. The highest shoreline on Earth is the ice wall, Antarctica. The only treaty never broken by 57 nations is the Antarctic Treaty. You are not allowed to explore there. But the first person to explore Antarctica, Admiral Byrd, he said that there is more land it's not snow, it's better resources and minerals, the size of North America. And as he's talking, behind him, there's footage on YouTube, Admiral Byrd. As he's talking in front of a flat Earth azimuthal equidistant map, the map that airplane pilots use for autopilot. They don't use your dumbass Mercator or your fucking globe or none of that. They use our map. And think about it, this map distorts continents. Why would an autopilot system ever risk crashing a plane with a map that just makes North America a little smaller, this one bigger, and there's an ice wall on this map? Why do they there's 1 billion different maps, and they use the flat Earth azimuthal equidistant map for autopilot. That's why a compass is a flat Earth instrument. It only points to north. There is no south pole on a compass. Because here's magnetic north. You circumnavigate east to west. That's how a compass circumnavigates, just like the sun. And then south would just be 180 degrees away from north. So southward. As soon as they discovered this, it got militarized by 57 nations, and no one's allowed to go there. There's some flat earthers who took a boat and filmed it going to Antarctica from the edge of Australia, and they're filming it, and the boat pulls up and says they're going to shoot them down, and it's all on YouTube. And also, flat earth is the most Googled topic in Google history. Hollow earth, triangle earth, none of them are banned from the algorithm, only flat. And it's not just flat. Picard, who saw the top, said it's with an upturned edge for the Antarctic walls. And they said that there's more land past these Antarctic, go southward, that have good soil and resources. The only treaty held for over 60 years, the longest treaty ever held, is the Antarctic Treaty. You're not allowed to go there. Planes can't fly. It's not because it's cold. Planes can't fly there. Planes are not allowed to fly over the North Pole either, unless you're the Queen's brother who did it. A globe Earth. You think people in Australia are fucking upside down right now? You think a satellite can zoom in with a camera on people swimming upside down in the ocean in Australia? And that focal point, not just dust and all that stuff, is why you don't have infinite vision. If I was a flat earther, can't I see China? Are you fucking stupid? Look at the train tracks. Are they getting smaller? No, bro. Train tracks are going into a focal point. That's how your eyeball is, bro. And the interesting thing is, go search up Vibes of Cosmos on YouTube. They mirrored a map of Earth continents from the craters of the moon, and it was the flat Earth map that they found leaked from the United Nations buildings. The craters of the moon is the flat Earth map, and look at that. Our Earth is not actually at the center. There's other continents that are past these Antarctic walls, right? And look at this. They had Nazi symbols of the Aryan vril energy that they were trying to harvest from ether, of infinite cosmic energy that Tesla talked about. And what's interesting about this, with their black magic and stuff, what's interesting about this is there's a cross at the top of the dome. They put a little cross, as in Christ is real. It's incredible how someone took a picture illegally in a fucking building. When they leaked it, the map mirrors the craters of the moon. The Mercator doesn't. The globe doesn't. No other map can do this. So you can literally look at the moon and mirror. You can see a mirror and know which way to sail. The craters of the moon are the exact continents You see, Africa will fit in exactly in one crater.
Every military system for launching missiles use flat Earth maps. And well, what if they just make the sphere into flat? No, dude, these maps have our ice wall, which is the highest shoreline on Earth. On Wikipedia, it's called Antarctica. Look at the United Nations flag. You'll have your flat Earth map. Every maritime association to travel the seas uses a flat Earth map. Every meteorological association flag uses a flat Earth map. The one map that leaked from the United Nations building, I leaked it first, is a flat Earth map, but it's a little different. It shows more lands and it shows Nazi symbols, which is just an elemental pagan symbol of earth, air, fire, and water. That's what that, I'm not going to say the mustache guy's sign is, right? But at the top of the dome, they put a little cross on this leaked map, as in Christ is real.
No, my brothers aren't flat earthers, but they don't dare debate me. If I pull up clips of, did you see that thing I posted on Twitter where the astronauts are all floating in the International Space Station and everything's floating around, but there's a cup of water they forgot, and the water's, it's not congealing into a gravitational ball. It's just flat water, and it got, like, they fucked up and then they deleted it from nasa.gov, but we already have it archived. Like, it's so fucking hilarious. I became a flat earther within the first clip I saw of a NASA blooper. And in the blooper, the astronaut panicked. And I'm a bouncer. I know panic when I see it in people's eyes. So I was like, oh, there's no way this is real. And when I saw 10 bloopers, I was like, oh shit, nobody's up there? Why not? Can't they get up there? And then Eric Dubé said every picture of satellites are fake. And I Googled it. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't notice that. Why didn't I used to always wonder, I'm like, why don't they just use real footage of Mars? Like, why don't they ever use any real? I used to always ask myself. I used to watch everything on space. I used to spend I knew Europa's fucking oil lakes in the moons of Jupiter, and I knew everything about space, bro. And I would shit on Christianity because space made more sense. But after, like, you know, I grew up and I'm like, there's still no real footage? Like, where the fuck, what are those probes do? What kind of photos are they sending? And then I'm like, wow. I'm just glad as a teenager I was never a moonlander. Like, that one's just so obvious, right? Nothing has ever left low Earth orbit. That's why when you're on Google Earth, do you know what that is? Google Earth? If you scroll out on Google Earth, if you scroll out to go to space, it turns computer generated. It's fake. And the Google Earth pictures from high up are all taken by the Google plane. If there's satellites, why don't they take the photos with the fucking satellites? Satellites, they're literally weather balloons. They're pieces of junk. They're not $100 million space stations. They've been caught with green screen, chroma key, blue screen, wires. They've been caught so much.
97% of all Earth Wi-Fi is done through triangulation grid towers and weather balloons, underground sea cables. Nothing is linked to satellites. All pictures of satellites are fake on Google. And the International Space Station, they have so many bloopers in the documentary of astronauts. You can see the fucking harness. Or one astronaut dropped a penny, you know, as they're floating in zero G, and he freaked out. And then they deleted that footage, but it's archived forever. It's in everywhere on the internet. You can find it. And so when you go, what the fuck, space is not real? And Operation Fishbowl Dominic, which in Latin means of the Lord, fishbowl of the Lord. When you Wikipedia what operation that is, they're shooting rockets against the dome. You find out you've never seen a curved Earth unless it's a fisheye lens. And they say you could see it at 120,000 feet, but you can't. Get a weather balloon and do it yourself. You can only see it with a fisheye lens, curved Earth. Every picture of Earth is computer generated. Even the continents change size. It's fucking hilarious. And NASA admits all this.
Search up planets in space. Fake. 1 billion fake photos from a military wing called NASA. Would the military lie to me? It's all fake. It's fake, dude. And it's an attack on the Bible. That's why they tell you to believe in dinosaurs. It's an attack on the Bible or aliens. There's just so many planets out there. There's got to be aliens. You believe in aliens and you're an adult. That's fucking retarded. Little ETs. Okay, search up rocket trajectory and look how rockets arc. They don't leave low Earth orbit. They go up, they level out, and then they go down. That's why they're like, woo, like little rainbows. That's why Operation Fishbowl Dominic in Latin, Dominic means of the Lord. Fishbowl of the Lord. Google this operation, military operation, to launch rockets and missiles and nukes into the dome to crack it, and they can't crack it. And they want another great flood. They want to crack the dome so the waters above can pour in. Kill us all. They can't crack the dome.
When you search up NASA Red Bull jump, the whole Earth is landmass of New Mexico. There's no water. There's not one ocean, but they say it's mostly oceans because it's a fisheye lens, and they haven't left low Earth orbit. Nothing has ever left low Earth orbit. All of those rockets crash.
You believe in the moon landing? Oh, do you believe NASA spoke to astronauts on a landline-based telephone? The astronauts who were 240,000 miles away, astronauts who didn't even have iPhones, who needed all that rocket technology to go there, but they could just float right back. Also, if the moon is 1/6 Earth's gravity, the astronauts would not be moving in slow motion. 1/6 means a lot lighter, a lot faster. It's literally, they fucked up so hard. How do you change trajectory in the medium of a vacuum? How do you change direction? It's a vacuum. How did they get the buggy on the lunar rover? If I Google lunar lander, just search this up, moon landing Apollo, it's got duct tape on it, dude. There's nowhere to go. You can't land on the moon. The moon, in 1950s consensus by all scientists, before they changed it, the scientists came out and said the moon is cosmic plasma. That's why you can see blue sky in the daytime run through the moon. That's why the moon is translucent, sometimes transparent, or you can see stars blinking through the fucking moon. It's not a solid. It's literally cosmic plasma. It's just a light in the sky, and it represents the feminine force, and the sun is the solar force, the male force. That's why everything is divided into gender. 2 blades of grass, one is taller, that's the masculine blade. One is shorter, that's the feminine blade. That's why they try and make people transgender, because it's literally attacking the design. Sun, moon is the gender. This pours right into us.
Then all these astronauts were leaked. Like Buzz Aldrin went on, was it Jimmy Fallon or that red hair guy? He said, yes, all of the moon landing footage is fake. Buzz Aldrin said this, but we went there. We just had to use fake footage because our footage was like grainy and what the fuck? So I'm like, okay, I don't believe in moon landing space, but go watch Level by Eric Dubay, the documentary. When you find out every picture of space is fake, the moon landing fake, Neil Armstrong did not talk to Richard Nixon, the corrupt president, on a landline telephone from 270,000 miles away.
You believe in magical space Wi-Fi sending photos from a computer-generated Mars 100 million miles away? Like Google Mars, Google Saturn, they're CGI images. If you zoom up with a telescope, they're fiery balls of fire, like stars. But it's just a light in the sky. It's not a gas giant. Like, for example, do you know who the thunder god is in Roman times? The thunder god is Jupiter. And they say there's a raging thunderstorm on the gas giant god Jupiter. They're giving you pagan mythology, but they're repackaging it for a materialist perspective. It's so obvious what they're doing. The ancients used, basically, the stars are real, but they're not burning balls of gas in a vacuum. First of all, nothing can burn in a vacuum. And this is an electromagnetic universe. That's what Tesla said, meaning the stars are electromagnetic. Imagine if they said NASA got it wrong, but that ancient scroll got it right. Everyone would panic and say NASA's force feeding us CGI photos, like you believe in the Mars rover stuff, or my favorite is Jupiter. You know how there's a storm on Jupiter? Mm-hmm. Just Google pagan god Jupiter. He's the storm god. Like, you believe there's a raging storm on Jupiter because they linked it to the storm god from either Greece or Rome. But it's hilarious. Or when you search up the hexagon in Saturn, All these planets that they talk about are linked to those pagan gods. They're kind of laughing at you. They're like, Pro believes there's a raging thunderstorm in Jupiter. Who believed in a raging thunder god? Is the ancient Greeks and Romans. Like, it's the same religion, but they repackaged it.
Every single picture of Mars, Jupiter, all the pagan giants that people believe in, right? Like Jupiter was like the god of the storm, thunderstorm, and now they say Jupiter has a storm in it, that storm eye. All that is computer-generated photos, composites. Every picture, video, documentary of outer space is fake. Space is real, outer space is fake. Planet X, everything. And the International Space Station has been caught with harnesses, chroma keys, and blue screens and green screens. Go to John Zherka's YouTube channel. It's like 60,000, 70,000 subscribers I have right now. Go to Destiny versus Zherka and watch me. This is my first 35,000 followers I gained, is destroying him in a flat earth debate. And he's the genius. I'm just a security guard. But the truth defends itself. That's why they cope.
Google satellites in space and look at the images on your phone. It's fake photos. They don't leave low Earth orbit. That's why all rockets are launched into the Bermuda Triangle from Florida. Up, and they go down into the ocean. They don't break the firmament, the first page of the Bible. All the stars are fixed in place. That's why they spin counterclockwise. It's a fucking snow globe, not a fucking disc flying through space. Space is fake. All pictures of Mars, Jupiter, that's your religion. It's called heliocentrism. It's a Luciferian religion. Sun worship. Read your Bible, dude. And in my documentary, I even explain how stars are beautiful to us because it's a devilish trick of the highest level of beauty. Angels of light, they appear like in the Bible. But the Eastern Star that points down, right? The Eastern Star, that's the pentagram, right? Or the horns of Baphomet, they say. Dude, it's just No, don't skip the video. It's mirroring. It's a wizard spell to make you look up and believe in Mars, Pluto, Jupiter, which are wandering stars. It's a spell to get you away from your creator, and we're hypnotized by it, and NASA helps fund it. In Hebrew, NASA is to deceive. So all the planets and star trails move in one direction. That's God's will, or Schopenhauer would say the universe's will, or whatever the fuck, but fuck him. Every star is moving in the direction of God's will. When you go against God's will, you go to jail, horrible things fucking happen, really. Which gods are their own gods? The pagans, like the Mars, god of war. These are stars with their own orbit. So you can actually say, I want to be like that. And there's 7 planets of antiquity that they worship, right? But basically, the 7 attributes of God are inverted as deadly sins too. And Carl Jung said every star is an angel, and the space it does not inhabit is a devil, which who knows what he meant by that, right? Or a fallen angel or demon. Now look at this. The planets don't follow God's cosmic clock. They do their own thing. They fall from grace, like the 33%, Masonic 33, of the angels that followed Lucifer or the LGBT pride. And when you think about it, you want to be, like, I'll be honest, Andrew Tate suffers with Mars, right? He wants to be like his own god of Mars, right? Planets are wandering stars. They're just stars with a different orbit. They're not the blanket of stars that move. They just have their own thing. The Greeks worship these planets because they're not moving towards God's decision. They're going their own path, like Mars. Like Mars is the god of war and all that shit. And they'd worship them. They'd be like, yeah, I want to be like that. I want to be like Jupiter. I want to be horse shit because Christ is king and wiped all that pagan garbage completely out of the system and stopped this child sacrifice and all this freak shit. Why did Jews have a star? Why do Christians have the sun rising? And why do Arabs have the moon? That's all there is. That's what psychically controls us. This is predestined. The stars, they turn our psyche because God made it like this. Now look at the oldest clock, a church clock, oldest clock in history. Search Google, go on Google, search up oldest church clock. It's the exact same it's literally a cosmic clock, God's clock. It's not just to predict good harvests and stuff like that. That's why they worship Moloch and star gods, and there's star gates with star powers they can get from child sacrifice or sex magic, which is living force energy. The most pro-life thing you can do is start a family, and they do it for rape, sodomy, and murder rituals. But look at this. It's the first, that means the ancients knew. People who think that number stuff is just schizo, posting, those kind of weirdos, believe it or not, each letter in any alphabet is assigned a number, and the numbers are not made by man, they're discovered, meaning they're here, they're spiritual. So each the numbers are the most important thing. I've read this in this was hard to find, ley lines, energy points that crisscross the world. Correct. And that's where car accidents happen, on the crosses. And they would build churches on certain ley lines. The history goes like this. Sumeria, Atlantis falls. Plato talked about this, right? Then it's Egypt. Egypt has good kings for spiritual practices. Then they fall into the most perverted. And then Babylon. And then you have Greco-Roman and Christianity next. That's the history according to all occultists worth their salt. They had better technology back then. Not just ether, magnetics, acoustics, but electricity. And we have the shitty technology. So he says, I don't believe in, he's like, I have the chutzpah to tell you, John. We don't, and he really red-pilled me. When I debated this guy, he blew my mind and got me even closer to Christ. And I said, bro, you got to come to Christ, bro. And he didn't get it. He said, we don't believe in evolution. And he said, this guy's a genius. He used to go speaker's corner and destroy people. He said, we believe in the opposite, because they keep mirroring it. They invert the timeline of history, and they say the evolution is backwards, that we were hyper geniuses, almost like astral beings like Adam and Eve. Not like that, but we were literally fucking geniuses with the best technology and almost psychically understanding each other. Now, 90% of human communication that is not nonverbal, and we still argue with our wives till they ruin our lives. We don't know what we're doing. Now they say evolution got worse and we got dumber over time. They kill Malcolm X's and geniuses, and they make retards breed. You know what I mean? Like, did you really think Plato would chill with Jordan Peterson? He'd find him a fucking retard. My school of thought will teach that evolution's backwards. Egyptians were the geniuses, and we became dumber. They made us dumber on purpose. Earth is just like all ancient cosmologies have said, the guys who build pyramids with acoustic and magneticism and technology we don't even have anymore because we're on a slave system. We're not on like a Tesla free energy system where he said you can get infinite energy. It's called solar energy from stars. And I'm like, whoa, like, dude, these guys figured shit out. But obviously, in a free system like that, the power can shift easier. And so if you want to have power and be the ruling class, you got to have people pay bills, electricity. You know that everyone you went to school with, everyone you go to work with, everyone in your family believes Egyptians had less technology than Aiden Ross. That's how stupid mankind is. They can't even make a pyramid today, but they had less tools than us. They even preserved teeth better. They had hair at 70 years old. They were taller. You're fat, broke, bald, and dying. How are you better than the Egyptians? And people are like, well, aren't we the most intelligent? Yeah, because we replaced clairvoyance for intelligent. Clairvoyance is psychic ability to understand each other. They didn't talk as much. Now, your parents yap into a divorce. Whoa, that's really intelligent. 70% divorce rate is really intelligent. Clearly, the beginning of history had all the good technology. Now we have garbage. That's why you guys eat healthy and still are constipated. Right? You think the Egyptians were constipated, bro? You think they had GMOs in their food and shit? That's why you guys drink water all day and you're still thirsty. You drink water all day and your piss is still not clear. You're not healthy, bro. You just think you are because you drank a lot of water. Like, you're still dehydrated. You still can't do it, bro. You still have a sodium problem. You have so many issues that you can't solve, and you think you solve them, but usually you solve them for other problems with other medications, and it's like...
Evolution's actually backwards. We de-evolved. So back in Adam and Eve time, or let's say like the first humans, They were geniuses compared to us now. We're the dumbest. We're cutting our penises off. We've never been dumber. People are convinced that the longest lifespan humans have had is the one in 2023. You get 100 years. But the jab, that's fake news. But no, there's been times in history where people are living to 250 fucking years. It's all scrubbed.
People got dumber over time, much dumber. They used to even live longer. If you look at Egyptian teeth, preserved so well, they had perfect teeth. Now people's teeth are fucking exploding from candy. People are bald now at 25 years old. In ancient times, they knew. Cleopatra talked about certain herbs that she'd mix and give to her friends, and it would grow hair off their fucking head. Now they can't even fix balding. Like there's not. Men are shorter, uglier, dumber. Everything since ancient times went backwards. But did you know in ancient times they were more clairvoyant, meaning they didn't talk as much because they could read each other's energy. Then they traded that psychic clairvoyant ability for this thing called intellect, which is a division of genius. It's actually a weaker level of genius. My ancestors are from literally Atlantis, Mediterranean, but it's a different spot of it, but that's where we huddled to in the Mediterranean after it went down. In Atlantean times, which humans were still not fully developed, they were breathing more of the water vapor instead of the oxygen. They were more peaceful until before it went down. But check this out. If there was danger coming to them, they could see the aura turn red around everyone in the room, and they just run away. Sphinx? Does anyone know what the Sphinx means? I read a shit ton of books, and the meaning is actually too hard for you guys to understand. Because if I say it, you're going to actually be blown away. Do you guys know what the Sphinx is, or why even in ancient Mesopotamia they had figures like this, half animal, half man? Basically, from all the books I've read, they go into heavy detail of how the Sphinx is reminding man that they evolved from an animal state, consciousness, to the next level. So they're going up in the spiritual evolutionary pyramid, and that human intellect, I swear to God, Steiner says this, came from the horse. So when man came out of horse, there's certain animals, eagle, lion, there's certain symbols. So basically they're saying the humans who had the worst karma, they are born, and I don't want to talk about like mentally ill men, because you can go that way with this, I think. But basically humans with the worst karma cycles would reincarnate as chimpanzees in a group soul. So basically a tiger doesn't have one, a tiger cannot know I. It doesn't look in the mirror and know I. A tiger has a group soul. So all tigers are one soul. And basically that's like a trap. That's a reincarnation trap. Basically the Egyptians were talking about how the animal nature evolved. So it started off as minerals, then plants and vegetation, then animals, which animals is ruled by the moon, right? Whereas vegetation was the sun, that they talk about there's vegetative souls in the solar gate through the sun, but apparently plants have souls. They're just less developed souls. And so do like rocks and minerals. And before the rocks and minerals will be the gaseous swirlies in the atmosphere who are still invisible. They haven't materialized into they say the lowest level, but it's really the newest level is materialism, this material body and stuff. And that everything, even this iPhone is moving, it's vibrating, it's a frequency, so it's sound, but it's crystallized. And what crystallizes it is certain cosmic alignments. So let's just go to Rudolf Steiner's work. This is the Rudolf Steiner. This is interesting stuff. And Rudolf Steiner says, old Saturn, the sun, and the moon were one. They were all one. So the moon, the sun, and Saturn split into three. But there used to be a super, you got to think of a snow globe, the flat earth geocentric model, right? But yeah, and I'm pretty sure Saturn was Fuck was it, man? Oh my god, dude! I didn't. This old January, and it's like so hazy for me, right? Stein, because the Steiner's the hardest to take notes on. His work is like, none of my students even do Steiner. They're like, this is too Rosicrucian for me, bro. Like, it's obviously the highest intellects can do. One audiobook is 12 hours, and it's slow. It's not like Manny P. Hall. And he even says humans are so material based that if they want wings to fly, they build it like an airplane, right? But in the olden days, everyone would just believe they have wings, and if the whole world believes it, the matrix changes, and then humans then can fly, or they used to be giants. Or one thing that's interesting is, do you guys know that conspiracy that mountains are trees? I love that conspiracy more than everything. And this genius, 007 Light Path and Mystic, he literally says mountains are trees. Like that, the conspiracy comes from this guy. You know, in Da Vinci's time, a genius would speak 17 languages fluently and know the numerology code of the language, each language. Geniuses spoke 17 languages. They could think with 17 different voices. Bro, it's been thousands of years. Nobody studies anything else in college. They study Plato. Like, literally, it's been thousands of years. No one beat his intellect. That's pathetic. That's actually pathetic. And if you look at philosophers, they got dumber over time. Like, no one would compare Schopenhauer to Plato, Aristotle. Nobody would compare these people, right? And what's funny is, if you compare them, you run the risk of comparing a philosopher who built his thinking practice off of Plato's model. So it's kind of like that's why I'm saying evolution's backwards. Humans built pyramids, they were geniuses, and now they don't even know if they're boy or girl.
When Darwinism came out, which that's what Hitler was into, right? The Ubermensch and the fucking evolution of man. All, like, look at the Earth's spin. It spins on an axis of what? 66.6, because it's Freemasonic science. Some people say, well, I think it's a spiritual component too, but evolution, by everyone who hated Christianity, all the intellectuals who hated Christianity, all got together and said evolution is the dumbest fucking theory we've ever heard. But they all got censored, and it became the norm. They don't allow geniuses in society. People think Jordan Peterson's smart. He's an idiot. I'd wipe the floor with him, and I'm just some fucking cokehead. Listen, we study Plato. We don't study Jordan Peterson. He repackaged Jung. There are no more geniuses anymore. There are no more Platos. None. Why? Because they actually kill Malcolm X type brains.
If you look at all the geniuses throughout history, the Da Vinci's and stuff, they all those homosexuals, secular guys, they all grew up in a Christian theocracy. Meaning, if these women were here in the if they were here during the Enlightenment, we'd all be way smarter. When you grow up in a Christian era, they tell you it's the Dark Ages, it's the worst time. No, it's not the worst time. Knights didn't even tell white lies. Everyone was married, and you were promised a virgin, I was promised a virgin, everyone was promised a virgin. They tell you it's the Dark Ages to keep Christianity. They want to put their foot on Christianity's neck, really. That's why they tell you, oh, it's the Dark Ages, it's the medieval times. Those are the best times to live.
Scholars, billionaires, Freemasons, bankers, they all go by a timeline of 6,000 years of Earth. Especially, I'm talking about the sages in Israel, the rabbis, the rebbes, they go by 6,000. So if the rulers are going by a timeline of history of just 6,000 years, and you're going on the timeline they gave you with dinosaurs and all this stupid shit, and here's how you should see it. If everyone on Earth believes in the original timeline with dinosaurs and billions of years, blah, 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 everyone on Earth got vaccinated, and everyone on Earth, search up average IQ. It's going to terrify you. The average IQ is almost like at an animal's level, or a retard. And the average IQ is a dinosaur believer, alien believer, evolutionist, Darwinist. That's why I sound crazy. Is like,
I'm saying the truth.
Vatican Archives or Smithsonian Museum, every dinosaur bone is made out of rat bone and resin, fake. They're replicas in every museum. 99% of them are fake. The 1% is in the Smithsonian Museum, which are giant bones. That's what a lot of Christians say. I didn't look into that much. Dinosaurs were found as late as the 1700s by only white men. $1 million a bone, and then they spread it internationally. And nobody realizes that the four wings of the earth, like the Bible says, were Christian. Indians were all Christian. Everyone on earth at one point was Christian. That's the psyop. That Christianity is not a religion. Religions are all anti-Christ because the default position was Christianity. There's nothing else. That's real history. Every other religion is attack on the cross. That's why that's why Freemasons don't have a problem with Islam, Judaism, or any of that stuff. They only have a problem with the truth.
And they put billions of dollars in Jurassic Park to put that in your head just so you run from the Bible. How can you run from the truth? The truth has not changed for thousands of years, but your autistic Netflix shows, that shit's gone with the wind. That shit's popular today, stupid tomorrow. The Bible, always here. It's what lasts. And if you believe in dinosaurs, aliens, and a rotating globe Earth, then you're a globalist. Okay? Do you believe in evolution?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Where are the intermediary species between the whale and the whale that grew legs over millions of years of adaptation? How do you get different bred dogs? You breed dogs with dogs, not wolves. The reason you can have a different dog is because dogs were on Earth. When you look at evolution, there should be millions of, you know how they find bones everywhere? Where are the bones? Because adaptation is real. Animals adapt to the environment. But species to species, whale to land whale, there's no fucking bones. There should be millions found. If you're 20 years old and still believing in dinosaurs, billions and billions and zillions of dollars all circulate the Vatican, all circulate one fucking book, the first book ever written. You're telling me that book is fake news? If you think the news is fake, history has to be as well. You don't know that the Egyptians were here 2,000, 4,000 years ago. You really believe 200,000 years ago there were cavemen and there's dinosaurs millions of years? Come on, bro. They fucking got one sample out of a piece of ice. They said, hey, carbon dating shows that from this air bubble, we figured out this ice is 23 million years old. From a fucking bubble? Imagine what you do with a fucking block of ice. For a bubble? A bubble got you that much gnosis? You guys are the most knowledgeable people on earth. If you can do that with a bubble, solve cancer. Yeah, give me some money and I'll solve it. How much you need? Or just 40 years of can't do it. We scammed you. They took all of our money with cancer research and there's still no cure. Now they're like, hey, let's talk about COVID. I said, COVID? Bro, do you remember in high school when we used to give money for cancer research? Yeah. I used to think I'm doing something. I was like, here's $20. Where is the cure? I'm an old man, I'm graying. Where is the cure? I started doing research and I found out this whole society, it all changed during the 1960s sexual revolution. And you know the peace sign?
Yes.
It's just a cross upside down and snapped. And then I'm like, okay, what the fuck? The first book ever was the Bible, and it changed everything. I started researching into the Enlightenment. I'm like, why don't we have Da Vinci's? Like, fuck Jordan Peterson. Why don't we have geniuses like Da Vinci's and stuff? And those guys were like kind of secular atheists, gay homosexuals, but where did they grow up? Yeah. They grew up in the peak of Christianity. And I'm like, whoa, so if we grew up in that kind of Catholic theocracy, we would have way more geniuses and not just like Alex Jones and Jordan Peterson. Then I go down because no conspiracy channel wants to read these really thick, hard to read books. Freemasonry monitors, books, illegal books, books that were not supposed to come out. And so I look at who controls the Federal Reserve and the Treasury, and they're all Freemasons. And I find out that every single president, they never went to church. They always went to a different temple, a lodge, a Freemasonic lodge. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I look into it, and really, at the 33rd degree, or 30th to 33rd, they believe in Lucifer, but they don't deny God. Imagine being the bad guys. I thought the bad guys say God doesn't exist. I'll just rape a child. I always thought the bad guys just don't believe in God. When I found out they believe in God, but their sins outweigh it, and they know they're fucked, that's why they're double downing. I'm like, what the fuck? And I could never do this dinosaurs and evolution shit because I'd watch all these guys get debunked, and then their channels would get banned when they debunk scientists and shit. And I found out 90% of science is bought by Kellogg's, corporations and shit like that. So I'm like, what the fuck do I believe? And I'm getting older. I'm hitting it from the back fucking model. I'm like, why am I on Earth? I'm losing stiffness. I keep asking this, obsessed with the God question for like since 16. Then when I first made all my money, when I made my money, I started traveling with my girlfriend. We go to like all these nice resorts. First time in my life, it's like the Holy Spirit poured through me. I read a book and I cheated. I used Adderall, right?
What book was it?
I read that motherfucker. The first book I read was Morals and Dogma, 1,000 pages from the Grand Wizard, like, you know, KKK, but he's not KKK. Well, some people say he's, but he's called a Grand Wizard, like he's a genius. Albert Pike, the Pope of Freemasonry. There's a statue of this guy. I go through his book, impossible to read. I do it 10 times. Basically, I'm traveling the world for 8 months. Fuck my girlfriend, then she'd stay poolside, and I'll just go through audiobooks or just read. And I'm so sick of Netflix and all this shit. I just wanted the truth, and I'm obsessed with power. So I'm like, what do these powerful people do? And I found out they enter psychic, cosmic consciousness states through meditation. And it's like almost a hallucinatory, where they hallucinate, right? They can actually tap into like that third eye or whatever. And then even if they were never instructed painting, they can do a Mona Lisa. And so this guy at the top of evil predicts all the world wars, right? This Albert Pike guy, and that freaked me the fuck out.
You look at Freemasonry with the towers, Twin Towers, that's the Solomon Brothers towers. Soul of Man, Seal of Solomon, and it's the two Jock and Boaz Freemason towers, and they're meant to go down on a certain zodiac alignment. And people who think we're just fucking retards who talk about this shit, the only people who talk about doing stuff on certain dates are billionaires. Not just JP Morgan, like only billionaires study astrology.
Every billionaire writes about zodiac alignments. Every single World Bank is on the 33rd parallel on Earth. There's white magic, gray magic, and black magic. Now look what's interesting here, right? There's a white pope, there's a black pope, and there's a gray pope. And none of them are Catholic. Look at the oath they take. Actually, if you look in history, the popes literally raped and murdered Freemasons. They recently changed. What are the chances of that? And the black pope, the Jesuit black pope, he's called the general. And you know when the pope signs to be the pope, go through all the paperwork. I think it's like fucking 900 pages. He's not doing it like King Charles, King of the United Kingdom and Britain. The Pope writes King, and he literally signs on the dotted line where it says King of the world. And it doesn't even make sense because the Black Pope has more power and he doesn't sign that paper because it's a paper for the public.
The Pope of Freemasonry, Albert Pike, he's the Grand Wizard, pretty much the general. He wrote Morals and Dogma, this book I read, and he predicted to his letters to someone, he predicted 3 world wars. They were very accurate. And the third one, he said, will be between Zionists and Muslims, but both will lose, he said, because there would be so much bloodshed on both sides. And then they implement this Luciferian utopia, which what I think that is that pride LGBT shit worldwide they're going to do. But the point I'm making is because Nick and Dawson did not study Freemasonry, they didn't read his prediction. They said his prediction is just an old man, whatever. I posted the prediction, his prediction, and I was 100% correct. So now I think those two and everyone who studies power and who rules us, they should start with the Freemasons, because now it's not just a club. If they're predicting stuff this accurate, they're more than a club, right? So I think if Freemasons, the Jesuits, the liberal Jesuits in the Vatican,
this is the ruling class, the top of the top of the top of the top. Yeah, they're Luciferians. So they have like, the cult splits into two, left hand, right hand path of like Luciferian or Satanist, sun or moon. So the Luciferians run on emotion. So they have high anxiety and stuff. They have an obsession with stimulation. So those are kind of like, think of your meth heads, but they enjoy doing evil in that intense way, in a way where it's like ritualistic. And the Satanists enjoy evil in a chaotic way, where it's not that, it's not on this date, they're more carnage, destroy everything. But it's the same fucking group of evil. It wasn't meant for the public, but we have these books. They're so hard to read and they're veiled in allegory and stuff, so no one can actually decipher these books. But his notes were not meant to be public, and his letters. And his letters predicted the 2 world wars and then that Islamic Zionist final war. Just look at all the presidents. I think 80-90% of them did not go to a church as adults. They all went to a different temple, right? Bloodline guys, even non-bloodline guys who just had good connections. And I was thinking to myself, what the fuck is in this temple? Why is it symbols and it's so obscure and stuff? Then when I read into it, it's just Antichrist. And they don't reject Christ. They say he's real in different names and stuff, but they say he's real, but not the supreme authority at the 30th to 33rd degrees, the highest level. That Lucifer is their supreme authority, but they can't have the power to reject Christ like they do in the media and stuff. The highest levels, no. And then I read that Freemasons, the people that they hate the most because of their IQ, they say they have the dog's IQ, is they hate atheists the most. And I was like, but don't they want to turn everyone into atheists? No. The ultimate goal is to have a Luciferian utopia that is spiritual, but it's under their, I guess, like pride and all that kind of stuff. And that blew me away. And Andrew Tate being his dad's CIA, and then there's this ongoing thing with everyone, Alex Jones, whoever's dad is CIA, usually the kid is a prospect. And I was wondering, I'm like, why? Did the kid see too much? No, it's actually psychic programming, trauma programming, because when you're a part of this cult, your 5-year-old does not belong to you. It belongs to the cult. So they start, programming your kids, but they're giving you like big opportunities to make way more money. Like Shaq, he's an admitted Freemason on TV with the ring. Shaq has 400 to 600 million more dollars than his coworkers. All the basketball players. How? But he's the only one with the Freemason ring. Nancy Pelosi's husband. Once you're in the group, you have everything, but your family don't belong to you. And what's crazy is like they protect you from other secret societies. Like there's multiple, and a lot of people think that the ruling class all works together. No, it's a game to them. So let's say there's 10 ruling families. They're very horny to kill someone, another ruling class's wife, and take their wealth. And that's kind of the game they play. They're all paranoid. They don't have peace of mind at all. They don't have anything, right? They just have money. And so that's why you see like big shifts in politics, like that the ruling class do compete with each other, but 80% of them will be on the same side. And then one of them will snap into psychosis and rape and kill one of the guys. You know what I mean? And so when I found out that's how power is at the top, because I really thought it was teamwork, because I watched Andrew Tate, The Matrix, they're all in on it together. And no, who is in on it together, you bald fuck? Andrew, who is in on it? The psychos. Psychos snap. They turn on each other all the time, but they never all snap at the same time to where it's chaos and the dumb fucking middle class takes over. That never happens. Very rare. But yeah, so they rule the world. They're in the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, and so his dad is CIA. He's also his symbol. That the horse is it's a CIA program, an MK program. I'll post on my Twitter. The checkerboard is a Masonic duality checkerboard that I talk about, because they believe in biting from the apple of good and evil, which is the black and white, the yin and yang, that checkerboard. You stand on your square. It's the left-hand, right-hand path of compassion and passion, which are actually both wrong, because you're not saved. You're not with Christ. So a lot of people think that the evil guys at the top are always evil. That's not true. Every human is linked to God, meaning when they're raping and murdering and doing evil shit, they have days where they actually will give to charity out of guilt. They have days where they want to be good guys. They even warp it in their head. We're actually the good guys. So when you see the evil ruling class, let's say Hillary, 7 days a week, she's not evil. Five days a week, she's very ruthless and evil. But she has days where she comes back, tries to come back to God. And that's why people get so confused and go, well, I don't know if this Hollywood celebrity is actually evil. And because I can see it in their eyes, they're giving to charity and enjoying it. And yeah, they have days where they're human. The devil can't completely take you. Never. You belong to fucking Christ.
There are nations and states that compete with each other, just like how, let's say, 12 mafia families, they'll all be twisted and rape and murder each other's wives. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they're all in on the same project. COVID is the project or whatever. But then there'll be a defector that just starts stabbing the shit out of another family and killing them and taking Ukraine for themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's like a mafia. Mm-hmm. They shuffle the pieces, but ultimately they have the same goal.
Elon Musk, the guy who's trying
SpaceX.
Well, why is he trying to drill a fucking computer chip in your head? You know, I think he is an op. He works with the World Economic Forum. And you got to remember, not only did he do the Lucifer Halloween costume, but look into his family, right? And remember, bloodline elites are not at the top. Regular non-royal bloods are at the top. They're such high level wizards that they can snap their fingers and a billionaire will do anything they say. They're hypnotic. The Marina Abramoviches. Why is she around Jay-Z? Has she got a Microsoft sponsorship before Jay-Z with Bill Gates? The royal bloods are not at the top. They're literally controlled by the highest level spellcasters. That's why the elites actually watch for who. Like, I know a lot of spellcasting and occult science, and I can channel demons. I don't do it. But if I started doing it, they literally tune into Zherka's channel and they go, oh, look at that. He's using the invisible forces of nature. They can tune in psychically, and they don't have to find me through my content. They literally find who are the most powerful, and they go to them, and they go with caution. Like, hey, are you going to do something to me? In Manny P. Hall's book, he says, this is not a joke. Some wizards are so powerful, they can send a mental ray in the ether from across the earth and kill Sneeko with a thought.
Was Malcolm X the only leader with intellectual influence that JQ'd?
No. I know JFK JQ'd a little bit. Man, there's so much buried stuff. I had to go in my buried notes. I have so much declassified CIA shit. I think Nixon got checked quick. But Malcolm X, the way he JQ'd was so intelligent too. It wasn't like up in your face. The original MacBook was $666.66. Yeah, they do that shit on purpose, bro. They don't need money. They don't need money. They print money. It's very stupid when people think that everything's like Andrew Tate's capitalist position. The elites just kill babies for money. They just money. Like, nigga, they print money. They kill babies to live longer. They want to drink their life force.
Science was what said switch from eating bacon and eggs in the 80s to eating cereal and muffins because eggs and bacon have fats in them that will make you fat. As soon as they switched, because Kellogg's and all those bought the science, right? Fake news. As soon as they made that shift, Americans' obesity skyrocketed. And what's funny is, do your research into how much science actually gets published. It's less than 1% of scientists on Earth. Meaning, real scientists who disagree with the mainstream narrative, their paychecks are pushed aside. They're actually seen as retards and conspiracy theorists. Yeah, a lot of people think they want more workers, then why do COVID? Why? To drive people more into debt. There was actually a time in the, I think post-World War II, where there was so much wealth in the US that everyone could take an airplane every weekend and go somewhere. And the ruling classes hated that. They're like, we're not waiting in line with these fucking commoners. How the fuck are we waiting in line with, how did everyone make so much fucking money? We're waiting in line with commoners? Put these motherfuckers in debt. That's how debt started. That's how all these credit card scam systems started. It's because the ruling class is like, oh wow, we finally reached economic prosperity to where everyone's kind of equal. this is kind of bad. I'm not waiting. Imagine you're the Queen of England, that ugly, dusty hag that just fucking dropped dead. Imagine her being told to wait in line with a dude who works at fucking Costco, Walmart. You know how much that stings her ego? So every time there's a wealth jump, they do something like COVID or something to yank everyone into debt again. And debt really is the ultimate gate, right? That's the ultimate gatekeeper, is debt. I mean, when they give you $10, when the bank gives you $10 and says, here's 10, I pulled it out of thin air, but you owe me 15. Your first question, if you're not a retard, is, well, where do I get 5? And then the bank says, I got you, bro, but now you owe me 30. And you go, well, where do I get this extra money? And the bank goes, hey, homie, I got you. Here's 100, but you owe me 1,000. And you go, well, where do I get it? And they fucking kill you. You better pay up. They'll kill your ass. What kind of system is this? This is not off the gold standard. This is the most disgusting, evil system in history. And I sometimes think we deserve it. I really like seeing people suffering and struggling, because I go, you never took the time to research how you're being fucked by the Federal Reserve and the monetary system. You kind of deserve it, bro. If someone's coming and raping me every day, I'd say, hey, who are you, sir? Did you know order out of chaos in Masonic literature? The goal isn't to make it so everyone can just have sex with women in a liberal society. It's to frustrate you. It's tits and ass are always on TV, Twitter, Instagram, but you can't have any. You can't have any. And no matter how many bitches you have, you always find yourself frustrated. That's their fucking game plan. They want you frustrated, right? They want you fat, ugly, frustrated, choking on Cheetos. Like a fucking hamster in a fucking wheel. It's always top down. This fucking retard shit of, we put pedophile content on Netflix because it makes the most money. No, it's top down. Meaning they put a war movie before they get your sons and daughters to go to Iraq. It's psychological warfare. They put fucking dresses on fucking Disney stars, on little boys, and boys can wear a dress. And then your kids grow up thinking that's okay, yeah, I guess I'll wear a dress. It's top down. It's always been top down. Matter of fact, this is how democracy is run, right? Where they have the idea and they're like, how do we convince people how do I convince everyone to cut their cock off? Well, just put Destiny in there. A humiliation ritual where they put you in a little dress like Kevin Hart. Have you seen Kevin Hart, who said he would never do that, and then all of a sudden a movie deal, or they put Dwayne Johnson, who I've done a body double for the movie Skyscraper. I was his body double. And one day I turn on the TV and this guy's a fucking tooth fairy? You telling me that he just woke up one day and said, I got an idea? I got this tutu dress. No, someone fucking said, put that shit on. Here's your contract. Think of it like this. Is pushing this inclusive gay agenda, is pushing this agenda making someone more money? At the highest level, who knows? But the point is, these guys who rule the world, they print money. They don't care about profit. If you can print money, you think, what, just print more, bitch. So clearly they're printing money and they're bored and they're like, yo, let's get these rappers in dresses. And these rappers are like, okay, how you gangbanging a tutu? That's fucking criminal. Man, and you guys are listening to the music. That's the gayest shit I've ever heard, bro. Imagine driving around to fucking Tutu the rapper. Little Tutu Pac. That's the gayest shit I've ever heard, bro. If I have to listen to a rapper who wore a dress, bro, I'll switch to fucking Hannah Montana in my car. I'll switch to something less gay. Think about it. Ancient Aliens is funded, like it is mainstream, right? So that should tell you it's fake. Everything mainstream is fake. But just ask yourself, why was for the Soviet Union, why is 90% of Russian technology given to them by the US? Is there really a Cold War? Why the fuck would you give your enemy 90% of their technology that they use today?
U.S. gave them that technology because everyone knows Russia's U.S.'s bitch. Do you really think Israel versus Palestine, there's not a conflict? Israel's huge. Palestine's like a mosquito to them. Same with Russia and U.S. U.S. is huge. Russia's a mosquito. But they always give you this 50-50 battle, like USA versus Afghanistan. It's not a fight. What are you talking about? It's not a war of attrition. They literally they extend the length of war. It doesn't mean the Afghanis are fighting better. Do you really believe Afghanis held Americans at bay for like decades? Nobody buys this shit. U.S. is a super titan. Afghanistan's a fucking mosquito. On zodiac alignments, certain dates, they have big Super Bowl festivals. That's exactly how they do it. And what's crazy is it works. You know, if you give them bread and circuses, they don't care about Epstein Island. And the electric grid system, it's not just to tax the shit out of you and rape your wallet. It's so you don't go anywhere. That's why you lose connection in the mountains and wilderness, and they cramp us up in cities. That's a control tactic, right? Listen, what do you think Freemasonry is about? Like, what, you really think they have hidden secrets? It's about generative principle. It's not a coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire, Pope, zillionaire, Hollywood, billionaires, politics, billionaires, they're all pedophiles on the same fucking list. The accuracy of gravity on our planet says a lot about the creator. Dude, are you stupid? 98% of gravity is dark matter. They say they don't know what 98% of the model is. And number two, gravity is the G in Freemasonry. Gravity is generative principle. Everything is generative principle to these people. You see, all of Carl Jung's homosexual experiences that he hid was with Freud, because the most amount of psychic revelation you can have is having gay sex. I'm reading this. I'm not saying it. I think it sounds stupid as fuck, actually. I think for 8 months, I was afraid to say it because I'm like, this is fiction. But here we have Aleister Crowley and all of the great geniuses of antiquity. Every Leonidas, Plato, Pythagoras, Socrates, Aristotle. This man's making the argument that all gnosis comes from gay sex. But it's a little different. When you look deeper, these men, ancient men of antiquity, never had male partners. They had little boys. That it's something about that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, all geniuses throughout history have that in common? They're all pedos? Pythagoras? Plato? Aristotle? Napoleon? Marx? Of course Marx, he does the hidden hand. Anyone who does the hidden hand is a part of the in club. Do you know how you get into Yale, Skull and Bones, and Masonry? You have to stay in a coffin as they masturbate, but really it's called something with a cherry in the military, that you have to get fucked in the ass so someone has shame over you. And that's going to be your handler. And psychically, you just listen better to them when they have that one over you, because you're a man. And it's with a woman, it's very evil, but there's still hope that she could, like, break away from it. But with a man, when a man gets raped by another man, apparently this one is like, because a man is more aggressive and stuff, they become a very good psychic slave to commands. This is why it happens at the highest levels of military. Yeah, they wrote that some gay experiences have their own thing, but everyone who made it to the top and made billions, they're not just having fun or like, oh, I like men. They're not doing it for pleasure. It becomes pleasurable the more they do it, because they get addicted to how powerful it is, how powerful it works. And you're like, well, what's the powers you get? It's really these psychic revelations where you write a better paper, paint something better, and it's with a little boy that they do it, right? They do it with a little boy. As a matter of fact, if you look deep into the WikiLeaks, the little girls, they mention through allegory that they eat them. The boys they keep using, because the boys are more potent.
Joe Rogan, all these people who we're talking about Egyptians all day, but we don't know anything about Egyptians. Why? Because they will never tell you that the tomb of becoming a pharaoh as a little boy, you go in with a soul partner. One becomes the philosophical king, and the other is sacrificed in front of the other. 10 sages violently rape one of the boys. Everyone in the tribe believes that boy goes into that tomb and up into heaven, but what's happening is his flesh is being torn. He's being forced to eat his own flesh. He's being raped and murdered to death, and the other boy must stay in darkness for 3 nights and be resurrected, sometimes even 7, depending on which ritual. I'm going to cover both on my documentary. Why is this so important? Because when someone becomes king and is initiated by these dark sages this way, this king will never, ever turn on the people who have shown them the highest evil of what they're capable of. They always look at those sages as their mentors, their guidance, their gods. So the kings can only be put into power if their mind is dissociated, shattered into a dissociated state, not just fractured, way worse.
Like sodomy is the best psychic control, that if you bang someone at an early age, they enter a dissociative state or a shattered mind state. And they've done this since Egyptian times. It's in my documentary. Nobody knows what the Egyptians were up to. I do. I've read enough. Like cocaine books, man, and the dark web. And so basically, you program a child when they're in this dissociative state. Let's say you perform this sodomy on them. They can't handle the trauma of their family and people who are guarding them, doing that to them. So they actually enter this happy place in their head where nothing bad can happen to them as they're being brutalized. And in that state, it's all, let's say, white. And then they say it's very dark, and then Elysium. That's what Albert Pike wrote, Elysium and heavens. And so as they're getting sodomized, it goes from the worst pain to, oh, it's euphoria, and I'm enjoying this. And the brain tries to cope, the soul. But check this out. In that state of trauma, that's when they get programmed. So they're like this. Let's say 7 years old, although usually it's 5. Let's say they do a 7. The child is like this, traumatized afterwards. And that's when you can program them and say, get up! And that tone of voice, when they hear, get up, do this, you don't have to talk to that child for 10 years. 20 years, they could be adults, have normal lives, suppress the memory. That never happened. But they receive a phone call with the same voice, the same trauma, and they're triggered back into a dissociative state. And on that phone call, they can get instructions, grab a rifle, shoot up this place. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to get killed. I'm not CIA. I'm not ex-CIA. But it's all in my documentary. And that's exactly which ritual made the most mercenaries. That's why most mercenaries that are picked up by all these foreign countries, they're like 14-year-old child soldiers that they programmed through a sodomy ritual. And Kay Griggs leaked it. She was married to a Sheikh military general. And he leaked that you don't go higher up in rankings in any special ops or generals without being a cherry Marine, meaning you got your cherry popped in the ass, and do that sodomy ritual. It starts with hookers, prostitutes at parties, a lot of money and big stocks they get push into your account. And then you have to get banged once, so they own you forever. And then they rise you up to general. All generals throughout the world do this, right? It's like the Spartans. Remember Spartans were gay? It's like that. And then the second part of the ritual is you have to commit one cold kill. I'm not special ops. I come from a military family. People are trying to say, I'm not. Google me, I'm not. To be a special ops, special operation, anything, you have to commit one cold kill of a homeless man or whoever you choose. And if it's a high value target like politician, even if it's a politician that the military supports, the twisted satanic top of the pyramid of the military, they go, whoa, you took out that politician that we funded? You are violent. You are crazy. And they rank them higher. As in, you got balls like that. They actually love how evil you can be. But most cold kills are homeless guys. That's what I've heard.
For example, the best way to not piss away the family's wealth is not to give your fucking kids your $1 billion assets. It's to cut your kid's puppy's head off in front of them and say, do as you're told and become a financier for the Bank of London. And they do it. This is trauma-based mind control that Kay Griggs in my documentary actually exposes. Now, why this stuff's important to me is because I've never read books in my life, but I'm obsessed with power. I want to know who rules me, how they do it, and why. And when I found out that you cannot have a mind slave without the symbols and rituals of Satanism, well then, motherfucker, Satanism became real. It became real. So when you study this stuff, the only conclusion is Christ is king. That if there's people out there using Satanism to keep their fortunes, then the Bible's whole motto of the material world is ruled by the devil, it's actually correct. All of it is reverse engineering the Bible. These Freemasons don't care about Islam. They don't care about Buddhism. Buddhism's actually Freemasonic, the way they, like if you think about it, Siddhartha, if someone's getting R-worded here, he's in the middle path of his karmic cycle, so he just keeps walking. Right. Only Christ will help the lepers or someone who's hurt. And so I looked at all these other religions, and they're all connected to Masonry. And then I started panicking, and then I found out, did you know Christianity was at the four corners of the earth? It was everywhere. They tell us Indians didn't have it. That's not true. Everyone knew what it was, and it's the only thing they'll attack. Christianity is being attacked from every angle. You can burn down a fucking church and whatever. So I was like, whoa, if everything's attacking the cross, and Carl Jung, the greatest psychologist of all time, who practiced with witch doctors in Africa, snake, serpent worshippers, that's how he became famous. Yeah. They taught him occult sciences of how to enter that trance state and write a good book. He said, because Freemasons say signs and symbols rule the world. Yeah. And if you don't think spellcasting is real, put a swastika on, walk in a synagogue, and see what one spellcasting does to the public. If you read the Bible and start reading about the four wings of the earth, you start thinking it's a fairy tale. Flat earth, when scientific proof, and I know now I don't need it, now I have faith, I don't need reason. When scientific proof was on our side, I was like, I can't believe in Christ, but I need to start praying. Tried my first prayer after I became flat earther, and it popped off, and it was way too accurate. If the earth's a globe, the Bible's not real. If the earth had dinosaurs, the Bible's not real. Literally every angle is an attack on the Bible. If evolution's real, the Bible's not real. But check this out. If the Bible had a verse where it says the earth is moving and rotating, do you know that they would never make the earth a ball? The psyop would be a cube. Do you know that that's exactly, it has to attack the Bible. Literally has to. You'll never find a psyop that doesn't. Does it have to attack the Quran? Yeah, sometimes. Not really.
They want you to think the Bible's fake. Oh, we went to outer space. You know, there's no firmament. Oh, there's dinosaurs before you. The Bible's fake. Oh, you were actually a monkey. No intermediary species ever found. Evolution was criticized by everyone before they started getting censored and banned.
The biggest thing I learned is that Jesus is real, and all the real evidence of Jesus is hidden in the Vatican. That's why we're given like this hippie art and hippie Jesus. Well, just like the Bible says, the tops of like every institution, especially now for end times, they're all going to be subverted. They're all going to be evil. And why did they give you evolution? Attack on the cross. Why did they give you ancient aliens? Attack on the cross. At the end of the day, God wins. So it's like, this is just a material suffering world, right? Because like, look at it like this. We're given paradise. The feminine, Eve, says, I want more, and bites. God's punishment comes down to hit her and Adam, and then God, being the most merciful, sends his only begotten Son to conquer death and save us from sin.
Mhm.
If you think about it, we're already saved. We're with Jesus. But are we going to see a lot of fuck shit in this material world from these kind of governments? Oh yeah, it's going to get bad.